All right, welcome back to the She Interviews. Hey everyone, I'm Jessica Parks, and I have a special treat because we are actually streaming live to the UK, right across the pond. And I'm here with Lucy Dutton, but let me try that again with my English accent. So, Lucy Dutton, did I do that right? See that? Okay.
Absolutely. Perfect.
So, what's going on, Lucy? So, good evening to you, right?
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. It's 6 o'clock in the evening.
Fantastic. See, this is what I love. I love that like we can just totally be live chatting so far away, different time zones, having friendship, helping each other with our businesses, and having this awesome interview. It's a wonderful time in human history that we live in that respect. Yeah.
Sure. Certainly. I totally agree.
So Lucy and I know each other from kind of like a marketing group that we both belong to, and we had the opportunity to do some projects together. We got talking, and now we're really good friends. And we got to talking about the She Interviews and what we do here, talking about helping women to look behind the curtain of other women and their journey with career and momhood. And Lucy has a really awesome story as far as like what she's done. And I asked her to come and share that with us because I really think that it will hit home with a lot of our audience. And so Lucy, tell everyone a little bit about yourself. You live in the UK, so like whereabouts, how many kids do you have, how old they are, and then also tell us a little bit about your business.
Okay, absolutely. Well, thank you very much for inviting me on, first of all. It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, so I live in the UK, a place called Colchester, which is in the southeast of England. And I am a mum of one boy who is now 20. I got started with my business, which was to do with health and nutrition over 2 decades ago. So before I had him, I got started. And that has also gone into now mentoring and coaching as another business, sort of a separate business, because I've been doing that for such a long time. And previous to that, I was a dancer. So I got teaching exams. So I was a qualified dance teacher and I did dancing for 10 years. So yeah, that's my background.
That's amazing. I love the dance background. When I was younger, I always wanted to be a dancer. And now, thank goodness for mirrors, right? That's how I get to dance in front of the mirror. All right, awesome. So you started your business. You've been doing this for a few decades now, right?
Yeah.
And you started this business before you had your son.
Yes. Yeah.
So when we have moms that start their careers and then it gets interrupted by becoming a mom. Some of our moms have kids and then they realize like, oh crap, I missed out. And then they start their career afterwards. So you are going to be, our moms that have started a career before having kids are going to probably relate to your story a little bit more. And, but you kind of started this out of like a pivotal point in your personal life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want me to go into that in a bit of depth?
Yeah, let's start there. Let's talk about how you got into the business. What happened in your life that made you say, you know what, I'm going to do this?
Sure. So I'd been living in London and was engaged for 7 years. And I wanted to start something. So I took a look at something that somebody offered and he wasn't happy. My partner at the time wasn't happy with me starting something else. And so that was kind of the beginning of the end. And then we did split up. I came back to Colchester area, and another friend who had told me about business 6 months before when I wasn't ready. So sometimes it's just the readiness time. And although I'd come out of that relationship and I was very shy and I was unconfident and I'd kind of lost myself in that relationship, she said 3 things to me. She said, it's to do with health and well-being. You can help people with their weight, and it's herbal based. So all of those 3 things fitted into, oh, that sounds interesting. That sounds interesting. And I need to be around happy, healthy people because I was not feeling like that at all. So that was one of the big points in my life. And because I got started in that business at that point, and I'm still in that business, that was from that struggle of not knowing who I was and what I wanted and where I was going. That business pushed me. It really pushed me to go that extra out of my comfort zone, not feeling good about what I was doing, but knowing I was doing it for all the right reasons. And I grew through that struggle. I grew through that time of feeling totally dreadful and awful about myself and my position and everything. And I just started to concentrate on other people. And that really was a real big turning point in my life and for being able to move forward, because I'd started then, when I moved back, just a little aside, I'd actually started making soft furnishings for a friend of mine. So I didn't tell you about that, Jess.
No.
But I knew that wasn't going to get me to where I wanted to go. So when my friend said, have another look at this, it was like, okay, I want to be earning more. It wasn't the main reason to get into it, but that was what came from it. I was then able to get my own place and my own house again. So that was, that was a real pivotal point.
Okay, so I got a few questions about what you just talked about here. So first of all, it sounds like you wanting to start up a business kind of feed that entrepreneurial spirit that you had inside of you. That was like the straw that broke the camel's back, or like, do you think that was like the driving force in your relationship ending?
No, I don't think it was the driving force. I just think that was just another thing. Like,
Okay.
just the straw that broke the camel's back. It was just another little thing, another little thing, another little thing. And that was just one of them. It was just like trying to control me and what I wanted to do. Whereas I wouldn't have done that to him. You know, it's just, I knew from ending that relationship, I know we're not really talking about relationships here, but anyway, that I knew what I didn't want in a relationship. And one of those things was being told, no, you can't do that.
Yeah. So it highlighted that for you, right? Sometimes we don't really know how strongly or that we desire something until it's like compromised.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so, okay, so that's one thing, right? So sometimes relationships, right? They'll highlight things, and but that relationship, you said, kind of left you feeling unsure about yourself.
Completely lost. Yeah, I was like, I had no self-confidence. My self-esteem was down on the floor somewhere. Didn't know. The way I describe it is I didn't know who I was and what I wanted anymore. I was completely lost, and nothing like I am today.
So what is it that made you say yes to the business? Because in my experience, and tell me, from your experience, because you've now had a lot of experience coaching women, when someone's in that place, like, of feeling, like you said, your self-esteem was on the floor, looking at something like starting a business seems very scary because I would say that's kind of one of the ingredients in doing well in business, right? Is like feeling like you can do this. Like, a lot of people will say no to a business opportunity or a promotion or whatever. They'll say no to those things because they don't feel like they're worthy of it, or they don't feel like they can do it. It's all having to do with worthiness and confidence. It has nothing to do with skills. So like, how did you get from, let's just keep using that analogy, like being on the floor, to being like, you know what, I'm going to say yes to this?
Yeah, right. And you're totally right. When it was the concept of the business, so I knew it was the right business for me to look at. And being an ex-dancer, I've always been self-employed. Basically, when you're a dancer, you're self-employed. So I think I'm totally unemployable. I don't like working for somebody else. All right. So I'm my own free spirit. So I didn't want to go and work somewhere else for somebody else. So working part-time with my friend was okay, but I knew I wanted to have something else to get hold of that was my own, that was for me. So that was one thing. then the next thing was, it was the right business for me. It was to do with health and well-being, and it ticked those boxes in me. I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. That sounds interesting. And yes, she's telling me they're positive people. I want to be around positive people. So yes, I went along and I took a look at the business. To be honest, Jess, I didn't think I'd be able to do it, but I wanted to do it. I didn't believe I would be able to. And so, oh, sorry, got a little alarm going off here.
No worries.
Sorry to apologize. So I got started not thinking I would be able to, but because I loved what it was about, I pushed through, so that little bit by little bit by little bit, I was more and more able. And like you said, learning the skills as you go along is just a huge thing. So it's then knowing what I wanted and then taking the action towards that.
Okay. So the fact that you knew what you wanted helped to overcome that fear of getting started.
Yeah.
Like, were you afraid of failure?
I was afraid of everything.
You're afraid of everything, but you did it anyway. Okay.
I did it anyway. I remember giving my first, it was like a product presentation, and I wrote everything down on cards because I knew I would forget everything. My knees were knocking. I had a table set up with a tablecloth so that people couldn't see how much I was shaking behind. And I literally was like this, literally. And I just invited people over, and they came along and they listened, and it went off really, really brilliantly, I have to say. And so I just kept doing those over and over and over until I felt less scary. I was shaking a bit less. And I didn't need to use the cards. So I was just doing it over and over and over and over to build my own confidence and my self-esteem back.
Oh my gosh, that is so amazing. And I love how you really just broke down all the things that you went through, and the fact that, like, you used the tablecloth because your knees were shaking. And I have to be honest with you, I relate to that so much. I remember the first time, when I got out of college and I interviewed for my first job. It was a group interview, and I had to get up in front of people and talk about, it was a sales job. So what they did was they made you get up and say, talk about something you're passionate about. Lucy, I got up there, my knees were like, right? Just it was like uncontrollable shaking. And so I know that feeling, but like, I just knew, like, I saw other people that were charismatic, and how people could capture a room, and how people were really good at bringing value through that talent, right? Through that skill set. And I was like, I want that so bad. And I would continue to do public speaking and continue to do whatever. And like, every single time I get up, I'd sweat for like the longest time. Right. And then, I was a part of the chamber, and I remember being in a board meeting, and some of the chamber members were talking about how we get like introverted business people to be more active and stuff like that. And one of them said, well, we need to figure this out, because not everybody's like you, Jessica. Not everyone can just get up in front of a room like that and just like so easily. And I was offended. I was like, no, actually, I've done a lot of work to get to the point where I can do that. So I think it's so important to hear your story, for other women to hear that story. Like, no, like, when you see that person that's up there, like confident Lucy, like, she just wasn't born that way. Most of us had to jump so many hurdles, but like, it was that desire, like the thing that stood out to me when you were talking about, you getting started, like your desire fueled all of that discomfort, like getting through all that discomfort. Am I right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely 100%. Because I wanted to help it was mainly women I was helping, but I wanted to help people, let's say, the people out there with what I was doing. And that was more important, that focus. A way that I've been taught to look at that is like, if that's the obstacle, make your goal much bigger. So you focus on your goal, not on the obstacle. So you're looking much further past it to get there. So I think even before I knew that, that's what I was doing, just kind of naturally.
I love that. That's a great visual. Even it's over here, right? Like, keep your eye on there. Yeah. That's fantastic. All right. So you get involved in this business and you start to grow it before you become a mom.
Yes. Yeah.
And you pretty much became a single mom, like super right away.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. About 4 weeks later. Yeah.
And that was kind of like your second turning point, right? With your career and personal
Yeah.
growth. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. I mean, it had to be because it was so different. What I would say, if anybody's listening and they're thinking of having children, get working now. put your pedal to the, metal to the pedal, and really push your business. If you've got started, really push your business forward, because you have the time to do that. If you've got your business started and you've got a child like I did, it was like, okay, this is another change. Life is ever evolving. Life is always changing. And so you're like a chameleon. It's like, okay, what do I need to do now? I know, because I'd started my business before, the things I needed to do to keep my business rolling. So I already had customers. Customers would come and see me. They wanted to see the baby. So it just kept on rocking. And I had a C-section, so I couldn't drive anywhere. I couldn't go anywhere. And so they were coming to me to do follow-ups and all of that stuff. And it just kept going. And I just evolved as my life evolved, because that was the only thing I could do, right? I mean, I couldn't go, well, I haven't got a baby, really. I had. He was a full-time child and I was on my own. So knowing that I wanted to be the best mum I could be, and part of that was having a solid business and being able to bring the money in, they were two things. So it was, I can't do it because I've got a baby. It was, I'm doing it because I've got a baby. So it was that mindset shift. It's not looking at it from here, I can't do it, because it's like, I'm going to do it because. So if I come across mums that are saying, oh, I just got this, that, and the other, and I've got children and I haven't got time, it's like, but is that not why you want to do it? Rather than making them the excuse, don't make them the excuse. If that's really what you want to do, whatever that business is that you've got in your heart, you want to start your own business, you want to join a company, whatever it is, don't let that stop you. Let that be your fuel to make it work, and you will find a way.
So let's talk about that for a second, because this is what I was going to ask you about, and you literally just said you'll find a way. And from having these conversations with women, a lot of times the obstacles that they're trying to hurdle are obstacles that they're kind of put there. It's a man's world. Let me just put it that way, right? So
Yep.
So I think, you're looking at it from a lens where you already had a business, a lot of women in that business, right? So women working with women, knowing the kind of personal and lifestyle demands that are on those women. So you kind of build that business around that and make it work around that. And I think a lot of times when I hear a mom say, and maybe you've experienced this, when like a woman is just, or like a mom is just coming into the business and they say, oh, I got this going on, I got that going on. It's because we're kind of programmed to, hey, conform to status quo or go stay home with your kid. It's not like, oh, you have a kid, you can still be productive. You can still do this. You're just going to have to do it in a different way than the traditional workforce does it. I don't think moms get that message. And so then we become discouraged. And then we say, well, I can't do it because you're giving me parameters that I can't operate in. You're making me choose between my kid and, and work. Do you have those kind of conversations with women, like coming into your business and kind of having to, change that mindset?
Yeah. It can be two things, actually. It can be the partner. That can be a big thing, but also because I think the mindset of the mother is that she has to put herself to the bottom of the pile. Everybody else comes first. Everything else comes first. And so the conversation that I have is, you are the most important person in that family.
Right.
Because if you were ill, if you had to go into hospital, there is now probably nobody cooking, there's probably nobody doing the washing, there's probably nobody doing the cleaning, there's probably nobody looking after the child. You're if you haven't got a business, if you're not working, then that sort of archetypical mother, like you were talking about, is unpaid for all of those jobs. Imagine how much that person actually would be paid if their husband was paying a cleaner and a cook and a babysitter and a gardener. That's your value. So know that you're worth a lot more. Just because you're not getting the money for it, you are worth a whole lot. So you need to put yourself to the top of the pile, with your health, but also with making you happy, making you fulfilled. Because if you're happy, you're fulfilled, and you're healthy, then you can give so much more to your family. So yes, be selfish, because being selfish is being selfless, in my book.
So that's fantastic advice, and a wonderful way of looking at your worth. It actually kind of reminds me of the conversation we had on your page recently about life insurance, right? So that's fantastic. Okay, so let's just say I'm a mom. I want to start a business. I'm coming to you as a coach. I like how you're helping people. I'm interested in health and wellness. And I come to you with that attitude, like I'm beaten down. I was working a corporate job, 9 to 5, demands that were on me were just like, I couldn't do it. I'm defeated. I feel like I can't have a career and be a good mom at the same time. But for some reason, you and I are having a conversation about your business. What kinds of things would you help me do to arrange my day or arrange my week so that I could be productive in my business and not compromise my, mom hat?
Yeah. Okay. So I think I would go back even further than that. Before I got onto that, the conversation would have to be about what you want from your life, what you would like. If in an ideal world you could have that thing, what would it be? Why you want it? So it's getting all of that. It's understanding yourself, really, because sometimes people don't talk about that. They have not been asked those questions.
Right.
And so they haven't verbalized how they're feeling about what they're looking for, about what they want, about how they would be if they got that thing that they've now decided that they want. And then after that, after you've found all of that, after I've discovered all of that about somebody, it's like, okay, now let's look at what do you do in your day? What have you got to do? What have you got to fit in? And I call them rocks. So if you've got rocks in your day, you've got to take the children to school at that time. You've got to take them to your swimming lesson at that time. So they're your rocks, they're and what gaps have you got in between those rocks? So what's the flow in between those rocks? And let's see what we could fit in. How much time? And if we get really clever with the time, what we could do in that time.
Now, do you have team meetings? Because you coach a lot of women, right? Like you oversee a team, right?
I do. Yeah.
How do you get everyone together? Like, do you get everyone together? How do you foster team camaraderie, especially if you have like moms and women on your team? Like, is it like herding cats because everyone's schedule is so different? Or like, how do you do that?
Teams are always like herding cats, Jess. Always. When they're working for themselves, it's always like herding cats. And it's been very different over this last year, of course, because we used to have very set meetings that we would go to physically. So now it's more, I do meetings in sections because I know I have to do that. It's never going to be, and I've learned this through getting very frustrated about it.
Yeah.
I can't get everybody together at the same time. There is always somebody goes, oh, I can't do that time. Oh, well, we'll change it to this. Oh, no, somebody else go, oh, no, I can't do that time, Lucy.
Right,
I'm like,
right.
Okay, so I cannot, and you'll find it in your business as well if you do the same type of thing. You can't please everybody all the time. And so I go, okay, well, then there's going to be this call on a Monday, there's going to be this call on a Wednesday, and then once a month on a Saturday, there's going to be this, or whatever you decide. So that's the way I've managed it. And then doing one-to-one calls with my team leaders.
Okay. And so doing that, do you feel like there's team camaraderie, that the teammates are talking to each other, working together with each other, thriving?
Yeah, we did calls last year where people were coming much more together, and I think we're going to be starting those again because of the situation and not being able to get to see people physically. It has felt more like you're disengaged from people.
Yeah.
And I like to see people. I like to be face to face with people. Even if it's like this, I like to be face to face with people, even if we can't physically get together. So it has felt a bit disjointed. So yeah, definitely getting together on group calls is the best way to do that, like big Zoom calls or something like that.
Yeah, because I was going to say, since COVID, I would imagine you probably now have recruited people into your business from different geographic locations. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they were there already. I already did that before COVID. So I've got people in America and Norway and all over the place. So yeah, so that hasn't really changed. But yeah, you're right. Absolutely. I've got, South Africans coming through and, Canada.
And that makes it even tougher because, like, right now it's 1:30 and it's about 6 your time, right?
Yeah, 25 past 6 over here.
Yeah, so someone might be in the middle of dinner and then someone's like, oh, I'm free because my kids are in camp or my kids are in school. So it's like, how the heck do you get that's a challenge, right?
Yeah, it is. But it's fine. We like I said before, we grow through challenges, and that's fine. As long as I have enough people that are connected, even if it's just like a little module of people, then hopefully at some point we'll all get back together again and the doors will open and I, oh yeah, I've heard about you, or I've heard you on a call, or I've seen you on an interview, or whatever.
Right.
We're together in a group. We're together in group pages on Facebook, so that helps.
Now, did you see more of that when COVID happened, or were you already operating your business like that with the Facebook groups and things like that?
Yeah, I already had Facebook groups, but I now have more groups. Yeah, and that's.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say that was very intentional. So last April, when I could see that we'd gone into this, it was like I got my leaders together, and I just went, we need to get another group, a new group for sort of people that are looking at being fitter and healthier, to see them through this time, because everybody is going, what the heck is happening?
Yeah.
So we built this kind of a support group through Facebook. So that group started, and that's just grown and grown and grown through. We stopped it for a while, and it was like, okay, when the lockdown stopped, and then when it turned down again into lockdown, it's like, okay, we need to really get back into that group and support people again.
Got it. Okay. So you've been doing the same business for a few decades, or like the same industry, but different business? Same. Okay, perfect. So you've been doing this for a few decades, and things have been evolving, right? Like consumer habits have been evolving. You've seen technology and the tools at your disposal in the same business evolving, right? Your kid getting older, so that's going to have a new dynamic for you. So can you talk a little bit about that? I know that was like a chock full question, but just like dealing with evolution of things as you stay in the same business. How do you keep reinventing yourself or keeping up with the new variables that come into play?
Yeah, no, great question. I've had my challenges with that, because and I'm sure people listening go, I'm doing something, it's working, and then suddenly something needs to change, and you're resistant to change. And that is your natural self trying to protect you, because if you're safe over here and it's like, change over here, we need to go this route now. We're not quite sure what's down that route. We're not sure if it's as safe as over here. So forcing myself to do that, and it's like I look at it for a while and I go, okay, is that really going to be working? And evaluating it, okay, yes it is. So as long as you can evaluate, it's not right or wrong, it's like, I'm evaluating this and that looks like it's working. Doesn't mean I have to stop doing what I'm doing here, which feels comfortable and nice and is working. So I can still go down that route and carry on doing this. So it's that choice of, I don't have to swap. I don't have to be totally, but also I'm open to things evolving. I'm open to different ways of working, and finding out how that fits in with my lifestyle. And like you say, with my son growing up and what he needs and wants and all of those sorts of things. So yeah. And then of course with COVID, everything changed again. I had to come online, which yes, I was a little bit online and I understood a little bit, but wow, oh my goodness, have I been learning a lot over the last 6 months. It's been an incredible journey and I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it, but I'm willing to do the work. I'm willing and open to evolving in that way. And it makes me grow as a leader and it makes me grow as a person. And I feel more confident and more able to then share that with other people and to give them value.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's so crazy because there's always so many different variables hitting you. But I love what you said, you know, that doesn't mean that I have to stop doing what I'm doing and that what is comfortable, but I still need to be kind of putting my feelers out there as things evolve to make sure that if you have to jump into something new, like this just doesn't work anymore, you've already started that process.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's the mistake a lot of business owners will make. Even huge corporations, you see them saying, well, you know, we've done things like this forever. And then they've kind of fall asleep in class. And little by little, you know, this new innovation kind of starts to get put into place by competitors or whatever. And then all of a sudden when they wake up, they're like, oh crap, I got to get on this. They're so far behind, they go out of business or just, you know, just totally fall behind the curve. So I think that's really, you know, very wise advice to keep. It's almost like, you know, we talk about diversification and streams of income, right? Like if you have a portfolio, you always want to diversify your portfolio. You never want to put all your eggs in one basket because there's so many different variables in the market. You want something here, you want something there. Having multiple streams of income, right? There's what happens in the economic landscape is largely out of our control, right? So like if we are in construction, for example, like right now, if we're in construction and there's a shortage on supplies, you know, things are through the roof and we might have to stop construction. So if I own a construction company, maybe I also want to, you know, make sure that I'm invested in blah, whatever, right? And so we need to also think about this in the ways that we operate our business, right? Like have multiple streams of operations. And it's kind of something that we don't really talk about very often. So I love how you explained how you're able to do something that's still comfortable and works, but yet always looking for what's going on and innovating at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. And Jess, it's not always easy. It's not always easy.
That doesn't sound easy at all.
I'm not going, oh yeah, this is this and that. And I didn't turn, like I said, it takes time to change because the natural instinct is not to change. And you have that, I definitely had that resistance to it, but I know I've got to be open to it. So it's working on it. It's always a working process. Your business is always, we are always a working process. And if we stop being a working process, we're going that way instead of that way.
Absolutely. So now bring us up to speed. You've been in your business for a few decades. Your son is now 20, you said?
Yeah.
20. And what's life look like now? Like if you're looking back at what you've accomplished, are you looking back saying, man, you know, I wish I had done X differently and this is advice that I give to someone else? Or, you know, no, I did it great. You should, I'm the perfect role model. You should follow me. No, I mean, nobody's the perfect role model, but you know what I'm saying? Do you have any regrets about what you've done as far as like being a single mom and raising your kid in the environment and doing your business? Or like, is this something that you're really excited to teach other women how to do?
Okay, so I would say the only thing, if it's a regret, then I don't kind of think of regrets, but if there's something that I would have done differently, for sure, And it's like I said at the beginning, before I had a child,
Yeah.
I wasn't planning on children, by the way. But before I had a child, when I had all the time in the world, I didn't put enough focus on what I was doing to build it at that point. So it was like 3 years, about 3 years before I had him. And if I had put some really serious time in, then I would have been so much further forward. But it's not a regret. It is a learning. It's
Right.
something that, like you say, I could advise somebody else. If you've got that time, go for it. If you found the right thing, go for it. I don't regret having a child. I absolutely adore him. We get on brilliantly. He's been interesting, frustrating, amazing. All of the things, if you're a mum, they all are.
Right, all the things.
And at the moment, he's back here because university is not open at the moment. And it's an interesting time when you're a mum, just going through all of that. And so I'm very glad I had a business to hang on to through the tough times, because I've had other tough times that I haven't spoken about with family. And I'm so glad that I had the business to hang on to, and the people around me that would support me. And like Jess was saying, you were saying at the beginning, we know each other through a business platform. And so having these people like Jess around me also helps going through this time. So anything that I can now offer from all of that knowledge, from all of those experiences, to people that I coach and mentor, because I've taken that as a second business now, and that's my own business, that's my own brand, if you like, that I can bring all of that knowledge and experience to the table. And that's for me, that's a gift that I can give to other people, and hopefully mainly women. I really just like working with women because I don't really understand guys. I'm not quite sure how they operate. They don't operate the same as us.
Yep. They're the one, we're from Venus, right? They're from Mars.
Yeah, they're definitely from Venus, and they're from Mars. Yeah.
Totally. Yep.
Love them, but I don't really understand them.
No, but that's true though. And I mean, that's a whole nother conversation, I think, for a whole nother time. But I mean, there really is something to be said about women working with women coaching women. For the longest time, I had a lot of male coaches in my life, and it was okay when I was single. It was okay before I had kids. But once you have kids, as much as they try to, be sensitive, it's just a whole, you're operating from a totally different mainframe, right? It's like,
yeah, you're right.
So I don't know about you, but like, ladies, like, I would really recommend that, especially, in life and also in business, to have that successful woman business mentor or role model, because they're going to help you navigate things in your life way better than men can. There's just different expectations.
Yeah. And different understanding, a completely different understanding.
Yeah. So Lucy, what's the best way that someone can get in touch with you if they're interested in learning more about your coaching, and interested in learning about, they're interested in health and wellness, and they want to learn more about your business? You're currently expanding, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I can give you an email if you want to put that out there. It's healthyliving@go-plus.net, which is not an easy one to write down when I say it.
That's okay. I'm going to put it in the caption of the video, so don't worry about that. So
Sure.
The best is for email
or WhatsApp. Yeah, so either or.
All right, so we'll make sure we have that contact information for you guys, so you can reach out to Lucy. And man, this was such a great chat, Lucy. Thank you so much. I really admire just the way that you've made decisions, your bravery and courage, even, recognizing that, you had some shyness, and you had some, insecurities to overcome, that you just went and did it. Like you didn't crush your desire, right? Like, I see so many times women, like, they have this fire burning inside them and they just keep like snuffing out that fire, but like it doesn't go away. Like it will totally eat you up. So look at Lucy's story, let that passion overwhelm you, overwhelm your fear, and just get on with it, because you will find amazing people like Lucy to come alongside you and help you express that passion that you have. So Lucy, thank you so much. And I look forward to chatting with you soon. And thanks so much, guys, for joining us. We'll see you next time on the She Interviews.
Thanks, Jess. That was great. Really enjoyed it. Bye, everybody.